Damn.
Haha, the Year of Shadow is amongst us. Sonic X Shadow Generations may have been my most hyped game of the year, possibly tied with Silent Hill 2. While Sonic Generations wasn't my first pick for a current gen upgrade, I'm hardly complaining, because I don't think it's a bad game at all. Plus, we all know the real prize was Shadow Generations, where we would pick up on the Shadow story Sega kind of just forgot for the past 20 years. I was stoked to see what they were cooking. But first, let's get Sonic Generations out of the way. I have played it before, so I'll try and keep this quick. Sonic Generations was the game released for Sonic's 20th anniversary, aiming to celebrate all 20 years of such, with stages inspired by old ones for both classic and boost era gameplay styles. It was such a huge success, Sega tried to replicate it in every game after with mixed results. Looking at it now, I can kind of see why they chose this game. I doubt Sega would ever touch Unleashed or 06 with a 10-foot pole anymore. And while the original Generations is still available on Steam, its life on consoles was long gone, never even getting a Nintendo release. We don't talk about you. And going back to it now, holy Hannah, I think Sonic Forces made me forget how awesome this game is. The main gimmick here is that the stages are split between two acts. Act 1 is for classic Sonic, who plays similarly to the old Genesis games, though not identically. I was really dreading going back to the classic stages, but that's because classic was absolutely butchered in every game he's been in since. While not crisp like Sonic Mania, his gameplay felt significantly more sleek than I remembered. And now he has the drop dash from Mania, which I appreciate, but none of the stages were designed with this in mind, so it's somewhere between being useless and broken. Act 2 is for modern Sonic. Man, I forgot just how good he felt in this game. This is the best 3D Sonic has ever felt to play, with the exception of maybe Frontiers. He's fast, but can be precise when needed. He also has the drop dash, but I mostly found that useless here. And as useful as his boost is, it's not just a win button thanks to the level design, which is probably at its peak. There are only 9 levels, which is majorly disappointing, but all of them feel amazing in both forms of gameplay. They all allow for the use of all sorts of different abilities and skills and honor the tried and true Sonic design philosophy of multiple paths to take. And they all look amazing. I finally figured out how graphics card drivers work, and now I have a reason to play AAA games. This is gorgeous. Man, I just did not give Sonic Generations enough credit when I heard this was the game they were going to be remaking. And I think too much of that is thanks to Sonic Forces. Man, I hate that game. Is there anything I don't like about Generations? Well, yes, 3 things. 1, boss fights. They kinda suck. There are like 2 that are good, but the rest are just annoying. 2, only 9 levels with 2 acts each and no new themes, which is weird. Yeah, there's side challenges and modding, but I never understood why we never really got more levels in DLC or anything for this game. 3, the story is incredibly basic and it was rewritten to be so much worse. All the actors came back to re-record everything and they sound like they were woken in the middle of the night to do so. But other than that, A-grade Sonic game. Alright, let's talk about Shadow. Going into this, I really didn't know what to expect. It all smelled like Bowser's Fury. I was worried that this was going to be nothing more than a glorified tech demo paired with the remake of a pre-existing game. But is it? No, thankfully. Shadow Generations revolves around Shadow during the events of Generations. He gets sent on his own adventure going to places from his past, fighting Black Doom. Remember him? He was the bad guy, like, 20 years ago? I was incredibly curious in how Shadow would play. I was hoping he wouldn't be too similar to Sonic, yet not as janky as he was in his own game. And I am ecstatic to say that my prayers were answered. His movement can feel similar at first, with his main difference being that he teleports to his enemies rather than a homing attack, but as you play more, you'll see how different he really is. He can use Chaos Control to pause time, which seems really situational at first, but it shows its use as time goes on. Or not. Get it? I also love that it pauses your game timer, which is totally cheating, and it's great. And while sadly there are no guns, Shadow unlocks more abilities as time goes on, and they are a blast to use and even go back to previous levels to try them out. So yeah, I don't think I could have asked for better Shadow gameplay. This all takes place in an open zone hub world to play around in, spacing out times between acts, similar to Frontiers, which is a major step up from Sonic's lame hub world, and the level design for Shadow's levels is actually some of the best in any Sonic game. They are sprawling with huge set pieces and tons of areas to just make use of Shadow's abilities, and when Doom's eye shows up and changes everything, it is just pure eye candy, like the one good level in Forces. The temptation to hit retry on every level I played just for the sake of it was way higher than it should have been. As a whole, it just checks all the boxes, and overall, this might just be my new favorite Sonic game. I'm usually a Sonic apologist and try and beat around the bush on some aspects that a lot of people take issue with, especially with Frontiers. But where Sonic Frontiers is a game I really love, this feels like a great game. Sonic's campaign is an incredibly solid batch of levels with near perfect Sonic gameplay and level design, while Shadow's campaign is just that, but for completely different reasons. Is this my game of the year? I really don't know what other people are going to think about this, but I'm giving Sonic X Shadow Generations 5 out of 5 stars. This is just a great Sonic game. Almost perfect. Now I'm just waiting for a redemption for Team Chaotix. Any day now. Any day.